Hello there. Happy Friday, or happy day whenever you're tuning into this. Excited to be here for another Workout Wednesday live. And excited. This is week 25, and it's going to be a good one. So let's jump right into it. What do you say? All right. So here we go. So we've got a fun challenge looking at calculating percent difference between a range of dates. So what do we've got here? So it's actually an inspiration from the community, and you may have seen this throughout the week. Last week kind of made the rounds. It got pretty popular, but I think this is really awesome. When I saw it, I immediately was like, oh, that's really interesting and unique. So this is what we're going to build. Essentially, we're just going to build a Superstore version of it. So thank you to Jacob for coming up and agreeing to allow Lorna to make this into a challenge. So, or maybe she didn't ask you, she just did it. Either way, Jacob gets credit for the original inspiration for this. So really, really cool to see when what the community comes up with every week. They never cease to amaze me and inspire me and keep me doing what I'm doing. So with having said that, let's take a look at what we're going to be doing this week. So we've got, looks like a dashboard. Let's go ahead and open this up here. We've got a dashboard showing segment by, looks like a moving average of some sort. And oh, okay. So when you hover on a date, it will show you, that will be your comparison date. Your anchor period is whatever you click on. So if I click on that, you can see my straight line, my solid line goes to whatever I clicked on. And then whenever I hover on a point, you can see here that when I hover on a point along the line, it will do a percent change calculation, which is pretty cool. And looks like we're going to be using the line function, the new dash line function, which is awesome. So you can almost do like what we're essentially doing is we're doing dynamic trend lines. So that's another way that you can kind of think of this, is we're doing dynamic trend lines. Show the trend between any 2 points on a line. So I think that's going to be really cool. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I think we're going to be using the good old reliable Superstore data. And let's see here. There it is. All right. Here we go. I think we just need orders for this one. Okay. All right. So let's do, we're going to do category on color, or on rows, but also on color. Right? I think so. Yep. Different color for each one. Looks like we're using Nuriel Stone. So we will use Nuriel Stone, or maybe bright. Yeah, let's do blue, purple, green. Furniture blue. Office supplies purple. Technology green. Looks good to me. And then let's do, what are we doing here? Let's look. Show a 6 week moving average. 6 week moving average. So we need order date at the continuous week. And then we'll take our sales data and we will create a moving average. And we will right click and we will update, edit the table calculation to do 5 plus the original value. So 5 plus, so if you're new to table calculations or you don't really have a lot of experience with the moving average, you can select the current value if you do, you need to make sure that when you're doing that, like if I uncheck that, it's only just going to be the previous 5 weeks. But if you want the current value included, then you can check that box and that will become one of the points always, right? So like this makes sense because all of the weeks have been completed, right? So if we were, let's say we were doing a, yeah. So if you were doing where dates were, or your data was incomplete, then you might not want to show the current value, so you can uncheck that. But anyway, previous 6 weeks, moving average. It's pretty straightforward. Let's see here. 6 week moving average, line chart shows 6 weeks, create 2 reference dates. Okay, so the way that we're going to do this is we're going to do this with, obviously we're going to do this with parameters. So let's select a parameter. Let's call this anchor date. It's going to be a date. And we will select, what do we have here? Starting week of December 27, 2020. Okay, so 12/27/2020. That will be our anchor date. And then we'll have our comparison date. And that's also going to be a date. And then we need to pick one. So what I'm going to do is my birthday of the same year. So 8/24/2020. I almost put in my birth year because it's habit, but I figured it out how not to do that. Okay. So let's click OK. Now remember, these are parameters. Tableau has no idea what to do with them yet. So let's bring those into our, let's bring them in to our, let's bring them in. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do, this will be the date anchor. I know it's weird, but I know it's weird that I'm flipping it around, but date anchor. And this will just be the anchor date. Actually, I may not need to do that. Let's see. If I put both of these on detail right now, I'm going to create a reference line. So for the entire table on the anchor date, okay, you can see that is, you can see that that's creating our line, right? And then we'll do a value. We'll show the value. Actually, we need custom, and right, because we need start week, or we need I'm just going to put anchor because that's what it's called, anchor date. Field name. I can just make this field name. Anchor date, colon, space, value. Right? And then we'll do, what do we want? How do we want this to look? I think I want this just to be a little bit darker. So we'll increase the opacity just a bit. There we go. That looks good. Increase the thickness just to make sure it stands out just a little bit more. Click OK. That looks good. And now we just need to create another reference line for the entire table on the comparison date. And there we go, right? And then we'll just, do we have that? Yep, we have comparison. So we'll do custom. We'll do the field name. We'll do colon space value. And this will be a dashed line and it'll be a little bit light. I like how this looks a little bit lighter because it's again standing out that this is the comparison. So we'll click OK. Real quick before we go any further, let's format this. Let's have the alignment. Let's have the anchor date be in the middle. There we go, anchor date, and then we'll keep the comparison date down at the bottom. I think that's how she's got it. Oh, and it's at the okay, all right. So what Lorna did, that makes sense actually now that I'm thinking about it. So we'll have this at the top and we'll have this at the bottom. But what we're going to do is instead of at the table level, let's do it per pane. And what that's going to do is that's going to put the comparison date on each pane. And we'll do the same for our anchor date. There we go. That looks good. Okay. Cool. All right. So, real quick, let's get the interactivity working. What do you say? So let's go to worksheet. Let's go to actions. Let's do change parameter. Now what's interesting, if you remember, is that when we click on something, we want it to be the anchor date. And when we hover on something, we want it to be the comparison period. So that's how we're going to set up our parameter actions, right? So on select, this is going to be the change anchor. All right. And we'll do it for, we'll do it for the entire data source so that it applies when we, so that this action will carry over when we create our dashboard. So that's a really great tip that I learned a long time, several years ago, is I do a lot of my testing of actions at the worksheet level. And then I'll be like, yep, that's working. And then I'll take it and I'll put it on the dashboard. For years, for the first several years that I was using Tableau, I would have to recreate my actions, right? Because the worksheet actions don't transfer to the dashboard. And the reason for that is because we selected the individual sheet, right? The source sheet is the individual sheet. But if you change this drop down to the data source, all of your sheets will populate, and then you can just select which sheet you want that created, which you can select the sheet that you want that action created on, and then anytime you use that sheet in a dashboard, that action will go with it, which is pretty cool. So anyway, that's long story short. So change anchor on sheet 1 on select, do what? We want to change the anchor date based on the week of order date. That's what we're going to put in there. Now, aggregation none, and we want to keep the current value. We do not want it to reset. And then we'll just do the exact same thing for the comparison date. So this will be change comparison. Source sheet on the data source, sheet 1 on hover. Anchor date, nope, comparison date. Week of order date. Keep the current value. Now let's see if this is working. There it is, right? So you can see it is updating, right? And then I go here and I'm like, that's what and then there you go. And there it is, right? So things are looking pretty good. We've got our interactivity working pretty well, which is great. That's exactly what we want. Now let's go create our line chart. So what we're going to do is in order to create the line, if you remember, what is a line chart? A line chart is a continuous line of points. The only way that Tableau can connect the lines No, it's not the only way, but it's the best way. The best way that Tableau knows how to connect the lines is it needs to be on the same axis, essentially, right? So what you might think. So I'll show you how I'm going to set this up, and then we'll talk about some why it needs to be set up this way. If anchor date equals date trunc week of order date, okay, the original way that I wanted to set this up was using OR, but that's only going to get, so I was going to do OR, nope, come on, there we go, or anchor date equal or comparison date equals date trunc at the week of order date, then sales end. Yes, I think so. Let's just see if this works. And this will be the we'll call this the comparison line or comparison sales. And actually, it's not going to be this. And actually, I think. Okay, so let's just see what we've got here. So do I have 2 points? I do. Good. So as you can see here, the only points that are showing up here, I'll see if I can get it to. There we go. All right, so you can see that, right? Hopefully. Let me zoom in here. So you can see that we're getting only 2 points that are showing up here, right? You can see those 2 points. Now, you might have been thinking, well, why does it need to be set up that way? Why is the calculation working that way? Why is the OR, right? Why do we need to do the OR here? Because what you could have said is if anchor date equals week of order date, then return the sales, else if comparison date equals date trunc, then sales, right? That's only going to give you one sales. That's only going to give you 1 point, right? Because it evaluates the first line, the first Boolean, and then it returns that number, and then it doesn't matter what comes after that because we've already satisfied one of the statements, right? But by doing it here, you're able to get the sales for that. Now, the question I have is, does it need to be this like, I believe if I were to put this over here and then synchronize, my dates are going to be off. Yeah, see how my points are off? And I think that's because I need to actually put in the 6 week moving average into my comparison sales. So the really great thing, watch this. So let's go edit. Let's highlight sales. And let's just drag in this table calculation. And come on. There. And then it's going to be like, hey, you've got mismatched things, right? Because a window function is an aggregate calculation. So what are we going to do? How are we going to get this done, right? Well, let's do... If we wrap this in an attribute, if we wrap each of these date truncs in an attribute, will that solve it? I'm not sure. Let's see. And then that goes... Oh, sum of sales, comparison sales. There we go. Nice. Nicely done. Okay. Okay, so I have 2 points. Now, how do we get them? So I think what the issue... So right now you can see I'm getting 2 points, but I'm not getting them on... I'm not getting the line that goes between them. And I think that's because I've got a bunch of different things going on here. So if I remove... Let's try and clean up the detail here. Nope. Okay. Do I need that either? Nope. Okay. So what do I need on path? Nope. Okay. All right. Let's see about... remove measure names because that's not helping anything. Yeah, that's still not... I still don't have a line. Alright. Alright, let's do this. Let's do see, this is where I thought I was on a roll. Right? I thought I was doing great, and then... So how do I get those to connect? Whoop! Format. Nulls. Filter. Ah. Okay. Alright, so that if we go back here, so yes, so that makes sense. Because right now, what's the reason why it's not connecting the 2 points is because it has nulls in between those 2 points. So Tableau can't connect because it's trying to connect a dot to a null, to a null, to a null, to a null, and Tableau doesn't know how to do that. So if we go here, if we go to this guy and we just filter out, oh, that's not what I wanted either, because then it filters out, it filters that out. That's not what I want either. Because I still want the... Yeah. Okay. So let's do... What are we going to do? How are we going to do this? Because if the other option is show it at 0, and then those stay there, right? Until that, and that's not at all what we want to do. So that's, there we go. Going back. Now what? So we have our points. so and we know that that will connect if there's two. Okay, so potentially the other way to do it is let's do anchor date sales if anchor date equals date. If anchor date equals date trunk week of order date, then give me that. And this is gonna, yeah, and I gotta do that, and I gotta do this. And then end it. Anchor date sales, and then we'll do the same thing for comparison date. We'll do comparison sales, if comparison date equals, oh, it's gonna get mad at me. That's all right. Well, we already know that that's not gonna work. So let's just do this. Yep, comparison sales, attribute week, yes. Okay. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take those off. I know that those are working. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do measure names on filters and just do anchor sales and comparison sales. Click OK. Measure values here. There's, okay, so I still have 2 dots. That's good. But now what I need to do is how do we take those off, take those off. And now I need to tell Tableau how to connect the dots. We're going to connect them by measure values. There you go. All right. So that's another way to make a line chart. That's how we make line charts sometimes when we're doing a, this is how we make lines when we're doing a slope chart, or whenever we're doing a, if we're doing a Cleveland dot plot, or if we're doing a connected dot plot. Right? Sometimes if we're doing a connected dot plot, we need to, where we'll have a dot for each type of measure, and then we'll use that to, and then we'll use measure values on path to be able to connect the dots. So there you go. So that's how we're going to do it. It took us a little bit to get there, right? But we didn't give up. We didn't falter. We kept trying different things, which is good. And so now I'll just kind of make this kind of a, what does she have? What do we got here? Okay, so it's the mark type. Okay, so it's the mark color. So the color is on category. And here the color is on category. So let's remove that. Let's do here. Let's go all. Let's go category. There we go. Okay. And now whenever I remove my nulls, everything goes away. so let's not worry about the nulls, right? So the way that we do that is we just hide the indicator. Let's just hide it. Right? All right. So now I can make this a dual axis, and I can synchronize. And now you can see that Tableau is doing what it's supposed to. And then maybe what I'll do over here, looks like we've got to go back. Looks like we've got to change a few things. Let's add dots. Let's go back up here to measure names, and let's remove measure names from colors so that we go back. Let's add the dots for the measure values for the connected dots. And yeah, there we go. All right, so now all we have to do is on the, so we've got that. Okay, so let's do, what happens if we put mark labels here? Okay, so let's do, yep, okay, so that's good. So that means that I don't need to worry about aggregations. So let's just do percent change. So let's just do percent diff. All right, so that's just going to be comparison sales. No, that's going to be, yeah, minus anchor date. And that quantity divided by the anchor date. Put that on label. And then nothing shows up. Well, that's maybe potentially where, yeah, well. Why is it coming up 0? Okay, so if we hover on that, we can see that we get, okay, so that makes, all right. So now what we need to do is we need to figure out a way to get them on the same level, right? So the reason that we're not getting a percent diff right now is because you can see here that even within my tooltip, right? Like I'm just getting that one, right? I'm just getting the moving average sales for just that one mark, right? And we're trying to do math between those two, and Tableau, they're not on the same partition, so Tableau can't do that aggregation. So what we need to do is we need to go into our percent diff, and we just need to make them on the right one, right? So what we need to do here is we just need to do a window function of min, and it doesn't matter which one, I don't believe. Window min, maybe it does. We'll figure it out, right? We don't like, this is how people develop, right? We don't have all the answers immediately, right? We generally have an idea of how to do things, but if we try it out and it doesn't work, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's because I was supposed to do that, right? And that's okay. Window min, and what this is going to do is it's going to put that, the reason I'm wrapping all of this, right, the comparison sales in a window min is because I want that number to be on each partition. So hopefully things are going to pop. Hopefully I'm going to see mark labels. That's my plan. Bingo. Okay, so let's do some math here, right? So we've got 5419. Let's keep that in mind. 5419 by what? 2057. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Because that's higher, so the percent change is going to be more than 100%. If we go down here, you can see it's going to be negative 75%. So yeah, that makes sense. I'm down with that. That makes sense. All right. So now let's do percent diff. Let's do a default properties number format. Percentage. I don't think she has any one decimal place, okay. And are we showing the difference, or are we just showing what that is, right? Let's see. Come on. Oh, we're doing office supplies. Yeah, right there. What? Oh, that's the difference? Is that, no? Maybe I've got my office supplies. There we go. All right, office supplies, 5419, got it. Oh, duh. I have to make sure my anchor date's the same, right? So that's why it's messed up. So 12, she had like 1212. There it is. That's the one right there. And then we'll do over here. Oop. December 12th. Yeah. And then December 6th, 2020. Is 347. That's a decrease of 647, which is 6.8%, which I get that. Why 5419 51. I got 54. I got that one. What's this one? 5130. 5130. 5419, which is a decrease of, so then I'll just do my percent diff, copy this, minus that, and then drag this over here, call this the difference. And it doesn't like it. Why? Oh yeah, I gotta get rid of that. There we go. There we go. I'll put difference out there. 5419 and 5130. 55419 minus 5130. 289. Okay, 288.4. Sure. 288.4 divided by 5130 is 5.6. 5419 is 0.53. I don't know how they're getting that. That's all right. Okay, so now you're like, well, which one should it go on? Because as you can see here, it's coming on both of them. So let's do mark labels on line ends only. Yeah, because Because then if I do it over here, it's gonna switch, right? Let's see how she's doing that. Is it always on the end? Of course. Okay. It's always going to be on the comparison line. Highlighted. No. Selected. No. Okay. So then do we need to go in here and say if adder, nope, if comparison date equals the attribute of date trunk of week of order date, then and okay, there you go. Cool. So I got that working. There you go. So you saw how that works, right? I'm only doing it, I had to write that into the calculation to only do it on the comparison date. Only show me the percentage on the comparison date. Don't give me on the anchor date. This may be... Oh, see? This is where European date formats trip me up. I was doing it on December 11th, 2022 as the I was doing it as December 5th, 2021 as the start date. But Lorna's in London. Therefore her date format is month, day, year. So it's actually day, month, year, right? So this is actually the 12th of May. So let's do this again. Or wait, no, I don't know. 12/5/21 is what I want. Is what I want to start on. 12/5. There we go. 12/5. And I want to compare that to December 11th, 22. There. Whoop. Nope. See, I did it again. December 12th. There. On December 18th. There we go. All right. So now 6.5 down. 12/12. Oh yeah, that's why. Okay. So let's go here. What do we have? I got to get this right, you know. That's the way I do it. Okay, and then here. She might have a different start date because as you can see, mine is 12/19 and hers is 12/18, so I would need to change the start date. Regardless, we know everything's working, right? It may be a matter of, you know, dates and such, but it's working, which is great. So now let's just do some formatting on this guy. Let's do font matches the mark color. Make it bold. Make it 12. Bump it up a little bit. Bump it up a lot a bit. There we go. maybe drop the size of this down a bit. There we go. Just so it jumps up a bit. And then we'll go into our %diff. We'll go to number format. We'll go to custom. And then we'll add our triangles. %. Oh. The reason that looks weird is because I didn't do the right one. %diff. Number format. This actually needs to be a semicolon. There we go. Yep. Down, down, down. Down, up, down. Very good. All right. Oh, wait. Yep. There we go. Cool. All right. Yeah, and then we'll drop the opacity of these down a little bit. Like a lot of bit. Bring the size back up. There we go. There we go. All right. That looks good to me. What do you think? So yeah, now we'll just put it onto a dashboard and call it good and do a little bit of formatting. We don't have a whole lot of formatting in our tooltips or left to go. So we'll call it. We'll call it good there. So that was a lot of fun. Again, thank you, Jacob, for creating this. Thank you, Lorna, for creating the challenge. Really nice piece of interactivity. This is really good. I like it. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for watching. We'll do this again next week, as always. I'll be right here. So, as always, we are data people. I'm Hipster Viz Ninja. Go forth and viz.